Hey there, it's Trudy, One Grounded Angel, here to talk to you about the angel cards for the week starting the 7th of December through to the 13th of December 2020. So we'll start shuffling now, and it's quite a big month, a lot of intense energies around, so hope you're doing okay. How very appropriate. Monday's card is Shield Yourself. Oh, I've done a nice job of bending that one back for my rough shuffling. So we had Shield Yourself last Wednesday. Same message applies here. Two aspects to it. First of all, be really careful about where you spend your time. If you are someone who is sensitive to energies, probably going to a nightclub is not a good idea. I'm aware that in a COVID world, you're probably not going to nightclubs anyway, or ideally you shouldn't be, depending on where you live. But that's just an example I often give of places where there's people in a lot of people in a destructive state. A lot of people trying to escape from this stuff. And that you can pick up that energy. Also at this time of year, shopping malls. Again, depending on where you live, you're probably not doing this sort of thing, but be really careful about the sorts of people you spend time with. If you have workmates who are really cynical and really love to complain about everything and never do anything about it, maybe spending time with them outside of work is not a good idea for you. So just use your judgment there. Second aspect is to shield yourself, and I've explained this very simply on last Wednesday's card, but just to give you a brief overview again, it just means asking Archangel Michael, who this particular card deck is all about, to place you in a protective bubble of light each morning. So that's like 3-4 seconds, maybe 5 if you talk really slowly. That's all it takes, and it just means that yes, you will still notice when people have really big energy that's affecting you, but you're not going to take it on board. And if you don't protect yourself this way and you are sensitive to energies, you're going to end up at the end of the day being super exhausted for reasons that have nothing to do with what you may have done during a day, and everything to do with the people that you've spent time with, and the fact that your energy field has been drawing in other people's stuff. You don't want to do that. So here we have Tuesday's card, Child. There's always a lot of different ways to look at this card. There is obviously the message about looking after the children in your life, nurturing them, especially if they're going through struggles. Make sure you pay attention to what they're going through. If you have, children in your life, you're a parent or a guardian. The other aspect, of course, because many of you don't have children in your life, this card does still relate to you, is about your own inner child. Now, I kind of tend to steer clear of using that term because I know a lot of people think it's a little bit hippie-ish and they're going to switch off as soon as I say it. But what I would say to you is that there is a side of you that still wants to have fun like a child. There is a side of you that wants to play and have a sense of wonder and enjoy their life. And there's a part of you that also knows that it's going to be okay because it knows it's being looked after by the universe, our parent, I guess, so to speak. So maybe that's the side of you that needs to come to the fore today. The side of you that needs to have some fun, the side of you that needs to lighten up a bit, the side of you that needs to step into that space of faith and trusting that things are going to be okay. And they really are. So if you are already in the process of working with your inner child, that could be what that card is about. But for most of you, it's simply about, hey, you're going to be okay. The universe is looking after you, and to try and remember that. Let's stop worrying about how things are going to turn out and trust that they will, and just get back to enjoying our lives and being the best humans that we can. Wednesday's card, True Love. Very romantic message here. If you're in a relationship, you might like to bring in some romantic energy today. Doing something kind or romantic for your partner, a sweet gesture, kind words, something like that. If you're not seeing someone, you might like to bring some romance into your life, into your relationship with yourself. And actually everyone should do this regardless of their romantic status. Something kind for themselves, buy themselves something nice, take themselves somewhere special, say something kind to yourself. If that feels weird, then you probably need to do it because that means that you're not used to it. So really thinking about how you can bring in some romance. And if you're a single person looking for, a divinely guided relationship, this card can certainly serve as reassurance that that's on the way for you. But remember, we need to be doing the work to make sure we're in a state of readiness to actually bring that through. It's a bit like magnets. If they're not charged, you're not going to attract that relationship. So you need to make sure that you're working with, you know, an energy healer, a spiritual coach, or a therapist to clear your baggage from the past, because otherwise you're just going to keep attracting the same type, or very likely to attract the same type of person. So making sure that you're dealing with your stuff before that can come through. And that was the case for me. It wasn't until I started working through my emotional baggage that I was able to attract the relationship that I'd been seeking for a very long time. So Thursday's card is prioritize. I feel like we've had this maybe 3 weeks ago. It's very recent. And it's all about being organized, which I know is super dull, but this is really important. The way that we spend our time really makes a statement about what is important to us. So have a quick look at the way you're spending your time. Are you spending it on things that don't bring you joy, on things that you're doing to impress other people, on things that you feel like there's a social obligation to do? Dieting, for example, instead of being in a state of acceptance about how things are you spending your time trying to pretend to be something that you're not? All these sorts of things, and without judgment, we just need to make a better decision about the way we spend our time going forward, and making sure we prioritize prioritizing what is important to us. If family is super important to us, but we're spending more time working than we are with family, sometimes that can be simply an economic reality, and there's no getting around that. But we also need to think about whether there are things that are controllable, that are taking us away from our priorities, such as spending copious amounts of time on social media. I don't want to discourage anyone from being on social media, because obviously that's where my channels are, but we need to set some limits around it, otherwise it can take away time that could be better spent in other areas. So that's Thursday. Really interesting kind of combination here. Friday's card is beautiful. Singing and dancing, having some fun, just what I said before about with that child card, making sure we're enjoying our lives. So what can you be doing today that will bring you some joy? It doesn't have to be singing, it doesn't have to be dancing, although I recommend both, even though I'm rubbish at both of those activities. I love them. So looking at things you can do that will bring you some joy, even if it's just, 5 minutes of dancing around your living room, or I don't know, what could you do that's fun? Going for a bike ride, even if it's just around the block. Something that you really love, that you are not doing much of. Something that really liberates you. That's the word that's coming through strongly. Some liberation. Something that sets you free from those obligations. And yeah, it's really a way of signaling to the universe that we understand that we deserve good things. And that kind of opens the floodgates for more blessings to come our way. Wow, this is a unexpectedly intense card for a Saturday. Well, not intense, but there's a lot going on here. The card is time to decide. So if you are facing a decision right now, please know that choosing not to make a decision is a decision. It's choosing to do nothing, and that's probably the wrong decision, because the decision is still there to be made. So have a think about what is getting in the way. Is it fear? If so, what are you going to do about that? Is it other people's opinions? If so, how can you separate yourself from those? Is it that you are putting too much pressure on yourself to be perfect? That's also something you might like to think about. How can you work through that to liberate yourself up to move forward? If you're not facing a decision, maybe this is a message to reiterate what we had before on Thursday around taking a more conscious, approaching your day from a more conscious place, instead of sailing through and just hoping things work out, or being in autopilot mode. And of course, that sounds like it's, in contrast to what I said before about having fun, but we can still have fun. Maybe we need to schedule it in. So really just being a little bit more present in your day, and a bit more mindful about what you want, and making sure you prioritize those things by and not delaying on things that need to be taken care of as well. Sunday, love. This is like the most basic card ever, because it underpins every single card I have, every single card. It is about the power of love to help us transform. So if this is coming up for you, in a personal reading, I'll be talking to the person about where are you more in fear than you're in love? And of course, that's normal for all of us. There are all parts of our lives where we tend to go into fear because we're human, and that's just the deal. It's not, I don't know if it's possible to be entirely, in this very, I guess, evolved state of being in love all the time. Because that's how we learn and grow, is we need to work through our fears to get to the learnings. So looking at where you are acting, where you could be acting from love, maybe making decisions from a space of love for yourself, love for your future self, love for your development and your personal growth, rather than falling into a very easy pattern of following what other people expect of you, or what would be the easiest thing, because often the right thing to do is not the easy thing to do. There can be exceptions to that, but often the right thing can be quite different to what we need to do. So looking at where you're out of alignment with love, are you lacking love in your life? And I'm going to bring up romantic love here, even though this card is not specifically talking about it, but because we've had this card here for Wednesday, we might like to look at where we could be bringing in some more love energy in a romantic sense to our lives, and it doesn't have to involve a partner. So regardless of whether you're single or in a relationship, there is opportunity for romance to be in your life, and you deserve to have that. Romance doesn't come from a partner, it comes from the energy that we put into a relationship, and the energy, yes, to an extent what they're putting in, but that's what expands. So last week we had a lot of messages around receiving, and I talked then about how love needs to be both given and received. So there could be aspects of that coming up again for you, in terms of thinking about, if you feel like there's not a lot of love in your life, is that because you're trying to give it instead of letting people receive it? You're closed off, you're keeping people at arm's length. You're not telling them what's really going on with you. You're not being vulnerable, which can be frightening for some people. So I don't advocate going crazy with the vulnerability, because that can really trigger your fear stuff and really keep you stuck. But certainly looking at whether you are presenting a mask to people about, instead of being authentic with them. Not all people, just the people who are closest to you, the people who deserve to see the real you, because not everybody does, of course. So that's it for the week. I can see how this idea of stepping more into love is coming through. I know that sounds vague, but it's really difficult to be specific because it can be hitting us in so many different areas. And I think the having fun, it's weird that we need to say that, right? But yeah, we really do need a reminder between paying bills and work and looking after family. It can get lost sometimes, but this is so important. We don't want to get to the end of our lives and feel like we didn't have enough fun. It's a big regret to deal with. So yeah, making that a priority as well. And priority seems to be a big word. That was Thursday. Yeah, Thursday's card here. So thinking about your priorities, good time to be doing that as well, as you start to reflect on the year, whatever it may have brought you. I know it's been a weird one, and starting to think about what you might like to be manifesting and working on next year as well. Bit of self-reflection can be important to do that, and I did write a blog post about creating a better year. You can look that up on my website if you would like to read it, www.onegroundedangel.com. That's it for the week. Each card goes up on my socials as per usual. One Grounded Angel is my Instagram handle, and my Facebook page is called One Grounded Angel. And as I mentioned, I do have a website, that's www.onegroundedangel.com, and you can find more information there about the work I do, the one-on-one work I do with clients, for example, the energy healing work, the angel card readings, which are all done via Zoom. I know that sounds weird, but it totally is not affected by geography. I've been working this way for many years, and clients get incredible results, just no matter where in the world they are, despite the distance. So it's really a wonderful resource to use, good old Zoom. So thank you very much for being here with me. If you do have questions, you can reach me, but remember, if you do want personal guidance, the best thing to do is to book a personal session. Thanks everybody, have a great week, and I'll see you on the other side.